What's going on YouTube? OCD for EDC here. And what I got for your face balls today is a little unboxing video. These two I've actually already unboxed. These came a couple of days ago. I was actually on my way out of town when the mail truck showed up. So, but real quick, I'll show you. This one here is the Steep Country Hunter in orange. This was actually one that I had to pick up for a friend of mine. He, for some unknown reason, I told him I would hook him up with a good knife, and he wanted a fixed blade with a gut hook, which is relatively difficult to find a good one anyway. So this is what I ended up with. This was one of the few that I could find that was in the size that he was looking for, as well as had a gut hook. I tried to explain to him that you could gut without the hook, but, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, this seems like a pretty nice little knife. The handle's a little thin, in my opinion, for what it is. I think it would be a little nicer, at least for my hands, if it was a little bit fatter, like the Puko handle. But I think it'll work well. And, you know, it's S30V. It's going to be light years ahead of anything that he's ever had. So, you know, it's going to work out well for him and what he's going to use it for. So, that's good. The other item that I got with that order was this little Civivi knife right here. And this thing I like quite a bit. This is the Civivi Ortis, as I missed the flip, and a pretty cool little knife, for sure. And we're going to definitely talk some more about this one. I'm digging the 9CR18 MOV blade. I kind of wish they would have done this black, or the blue one with the black blade. I did see that they had a black blade available with OD green or black scales. But I think it would have been cool, since the liners are black and the clip is black. I think it would have been cool to have this be a black blade, but they didn't ask me, so I may end up picking up another one just to do a blade swap, because I think the blue and black would look pretty cool. Civivi changed up their clip, and when I do the review on this, this is something we're going to talk quite a bit about, because yeah, I've got a lot to say about it. But for right now, it's got a really nice hollow grind on the blade. It's about 3 1/4 inch blade. Overall, I think it's a good little knife for sure. And definitely right in the price. You know, this thing's like 35 or 40 bucks, something like that. And yeah, I think that's really fantastic. It would have been a little nicer if it was G10. This is an FRN, but it does feel okay. And it's riding on bearings. Action on it is what you would expect from Civivi, and you can Spidey flick it, which is fantastic. So we've got those two. What else do we have here? We've got this package here. This is a box from Omaha Knife. So a lot of you probably already know what kind of stuff's going to be in this package. But let's get into it. The old GB2. I just stropped her up the other day, so she is slicing very nicely. Alright, we got 2 in this package. Let me get them out of the paper here. There's 1. Number 2. So let's see what we're working with here. And these are Sportsman Supply. So these are dealer exclusives. This one looks like it is, oh, it's a Delica 4 in Damascus. So let's check that out. It says it's a VG10 Damascus. Oh, with a Zome handle. That's pretty cool. Nice. Spyderco always does a really great job with their Damascus. They get really, really good color contrast. Yeah, that's cool looking Damascus for sure. Definitely. And I think in the paperwork there it said that this was a VG10 based Damascus. But I will pulled this out. You guys can pause and read that if you're interested. There you go. Yeah, it consists of VG10 stainless steel core flanked by 2 pieces of 15-layer Damascus, resulting in 31-layer construction, highlighted by the blade's saber grind. So, really cool. Really like the Damascus look there. And with the Zome handle, pretty good looking package there. So that is cool. Let me get that off to the side. What else do we have here? Oh, this looks like an Endura in the exact same configuration. So this is going to be a Sportsman supply exclusive as well. Same Zome FRN scale with Damascus blade. So you can see there 016 is my collector club number. Cool knives. Both the Delica and the Endura, both really cool knives. And, you know, a relatively cheap way to get something that looks really cool. So, there you go. Alright, we got this package here. So, let me get the GB2 back out. Now, I'm not sure exactly what's in this package here. Okay. So we've got a Sig Sauer Hogue. Let's see what's going on here. It's just Hogue paperwork. And it's a Sig Sauer Hogue. So this, I'm assuming, must be from the Apex Pass Around group. But I'm going to have to look into that because I honestly don't remember this one being on the list, but I could be totally wrong on that. I've been so busy with other things. But this is the Hogue X5. Really cool knife. These things definitely have a very unique look to them. But if you've never held one in hand, they're quite comfortable. It's pretty amazing, actually. This is generally not an aesthetic that I would be real pumped on, but it actually, I like this knife quite a bit more than I do just looking at it. It's extremely well made and definitely better in hand than it appears to be just looking at photographs. So really cool one. This happens to be the Sig Sauer edition, which is super cool. All right, let me get this off to the side. Okay, now we've got this right here. This is a tube from the Ferrum Forge sisters, and I'm not super pumped with them right at the moment. You guys have probably heard me say that I've had this knife on order for a very long time. So just to let you guys know, this knife was ordered on September 4th. So well over a month ago. It was actually more than, or about 50 days ago. And the bummer part of this was about a week and a half ago, I finally sent them an email saying, you know, what gives. Not that I was blaming them for the shipping situation, because they sent me tracking. I could see that it had shipped. However, I paid for the knife in full. They're the ones that chose to ship it the way they did, and it was stuck in shipping. Well, so what really kind of bummed me out about the situation was the way they handled it. So I emailed them and I just simply said, here's my order number, here's my tracking number. I still don't have the knife yet. Is there anything, that we can do? And the response to me was, that's terrible news. We're sorry to hear that, but it's not our problem. And I was just like, excuse me? And so the more I thought about it, the more I was just kind of like, you know, that's a pretty shitty way to handle that. You know, they could have said, oh, well, you know, we'll refund your money. We'll send another knife out. We'll, you know, give you a partial refund. We'll, you know, anything other than just, it's not our problem. So I sent another email back after I received that one saying, well, how long do you propose I wait to get this knife? And, you know, how long would you wait before you just ask for your money back? And they never responded to that email. So they did send, with the first email, I guess, when they told me that it wasn't their problem, they did send me a link to where I could file a claim with the post office. And I did that. The post office did send, it was just kind of like an automated thing that they sent out saying they were going to look into the situation. But apparently by doing that, it did get the package moving because it took, I don't know, 5 or 6 days after I sent the email, the package did start moving again at that point. And then, so apparently Ferrum Forge also filed a claim as well. And so they were real quick to send me an email letting me know that the knife had arrived. But only after I had kind of bitched and thought and told them that, you know, the customer service was pretty shitty, in my opinion. Like, you know, when you have a customer that pays in full and then the customer doesn't receive their product, there's nothing that I did wrong in this situation. You know, I did my part, which was paid for the item. And then I just, yeah, it was less than stellar, we'll say that. So anyway, here it is. This is the Ferrum Forge Stinger, and it's taken almost 50 days for it to get here, but it made it. So I guess, thankfully, it did show up. There's the first flip, but I got the tan colored one because you guys know I like to do a little knife modding, so chances are this thing will become a different color. But Nitro V steel, pretty cool. And yeah, otherwise feels pretty good in hand. So yeah, all in all, I think it's a little bit smaller than I was expecting it to be, I suppose. But yeah, not a bad thing. But certainly was not impressed with the way that Ferrum Forge handled the situation. That's for sure. So there you go. There's the Ferrum Forge Stinger and the Civivi Ortis. Very, very similar in size, those two knives. And just because I've got it sitting here, here it is with the Delica. So you can see handle length is very similar, but the blade length is lacking a little bit on the Delica. And then there they are with the Endura. All right. Well, true to form, let's do a little factory edge testing here. Let's see what we're working with. I don't even remember the way that I opened these. I think I did the Benchmade first. So let's see what we're working with here. Right at 200 on the Benchmade fixed blade. So yeah, kind of a bummer that Ferrum Forge handled the situation the way they did. I just wasn't real pumped on that. So one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, let me get, clear that. 180 on the Civivi. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about was I just recently posted a video about the Williamson Copenhagen knives, and I had multiple people tell me that the prices that I quoted that you could buy those knives cheaper in other areas. Those prices that I quoted were right off of Amazon. That was just where I found the knives. But so I did find a couple places online that are selling them cheaper. One of the places is Chicago Knife Works. So the Delica is $190. So none of these have been amazingly sharp here. You know, really anything under 200 is what we're looking for. But so they've all been fine, but not anything crazy to write home about. But anyway, the Wilhelmsen Copenhagen knives from a place called Chicago Knife Works. Some of the models are substantially cheaper. A few of the other models are slightly cheaper. $215 on the Endura. So, Osaki City, Japan, like I said, they're decent, but not anything crazy. Let's see if the Ferrum Forge is any better. So, I'm fairly confident that Civivi is who is making these Ferrum Forge knives. Or we. But let's see if this one's any better. $215. Well, apparently all of these knives we're just gonna be ho-hum in the factory sharpness. The Nitro V on this is ground extremely well, so this thing is gonna perform well when I get a good edge put on it. But anyway, back to the Wilhelmsen Copenhagen knives. From Chicago Knife Works, just for example, the Chib S, or Chibs, the Amazon price was $142.65. At Chicago Knife Works, they're selling it for $128.62. The Red E, that was the one that had probably the biggest price difference. Amazon, the best I could find it on Amazon was $95.18. At Chicago Knife Works, they're selling it for $66. Now, there was a guy in the comment section that said that he bought his for $56. You know, great. I couldn't find it for that anywhere online. The next one, the Tyron, Amazon price was $116.76. Chicago Knife Works has it for $105.91. The Mad Dog on Amazon was $120.74. And on Chicago Knife Works, it was $78. So, you know, the pretty good price difference there. And then the Cobra Ace was the highest priced one on Amazon at $228.94. And at Chicago Knife Works, it was $164.02. Still, they're way overpriced in my opinion. They just are. I'm just being honest. And yeah, it is what it is. I had a couple of different comments that I wanted to address. Big Sean, he wrote in there that he read into what I was saying, that it because I brought up the fact that it was a newer knife company, that reflected somehow on my opinion of the knife. That in no way, shape, or form reflected on my opinion of the knife. I simply brought it up to say that there have been some other companies, new companies, that have come into the marketplace looking at some knife prices and looking at, you know, stuff that sells for $200+ like this Sig Sauer Hogue model, and look at it and go, oh, well, that's, you know, aluminum and CPM 154, which I guess, yeah, that's what this one is, CPM 154. And so then they make a knife in China and they're like, oh, well, you know, we're going to get $200 for our knife. It doesn't work that way. And so they're not the first company to try that kind of thing. There's been several before Wilhelmsen Copenhagen. Excuse me. That, you know, are making Chinese knives or having knives made in China, bringing them over here and asking for these, you know, way large, huge inflated prices, in my opinion. You know, if you're just trying to get those prices because you're going to put them on the shelf at Walmart and hope that some non-knife guy looks at it and goes, man, that thing's super cool, great, that's fine. But when you can buy this knife, which is an excellent little knife, for under $40, and then you turn around and look at, you know, the exact same type of quality, or maybe even less, from any of those Wilhelmsen Copenhagen knives, even less quality actually, without as good a fit and finish, and without as good a blade grinds and all these things, and you're asking 2-3 times the price, to me that's just an insult, and it's just a slap in the face. So, you know, that's where I'm coming from. Like I said, it has nothing to do with the brand name. That means nothing to me. So I think Big Sean said, oh, well, if it said Spyderco on those knives, you would have been okay with it. No, I wouldn't have been okay with it. I don't give a shit what it says on the blade or on the knife. Brand means nothing to me. The next thing that I wanted to bring up, because there's been several comments and talks about it, is my videos that I put out about CRK. Chris Reeves knives, they are not for everyone, and I fully understand that. And there's definitely going to be a lot of people out there that aren't willing to pay the money for these knives. And lots of people said things like, well, you know, they're no different than a Hogue or a Benchmade or even a Tucson or a Spyderco or whatever. The reality is that they are different than those. And just because the differences are subtle and they're smaller doesn't mean that they're not different. And so the easiest way for me to put this into a context that maybe is easier to understand, if anybody knows anything about race cars, for example, drag racing, if you take a car that runs, say, let's just say a car right from the factory does a 14-second quarter mile. Okay? Well, it doesn't take a whole lot of money, time, or effort to make that car do a 12-second quarter mile. Okay? So you improved it by 2 seconds. As a matter of fact, you could probably bolt on, you know, a fairly small nitrous kit onto any factory car, reprogram the computer, and go and gain 2 seconds from a 14-second to a 12-second quarter mile. Well, the difference between an 8-second car and a 6-second car, instead of that costing you $500 or $600 in a nitrous kit, it's going to cost you $30 or $40 or maybe $50,000 to gain that same 2 seconds. Okay, so when you compare this knife to a knife like this that's already over $200, and look at this knife right here, well, the differences are subtle. There are differences in the material, but the amount of time and effort that goes into making this all adds up to dollars. The amount of surface grinding, which is a lengthy process in the machining world, is vast on a knife like this. Chris Reeves surface grinds every aspect of this knife to make sure every single part is perfectly flat, perfectly true, and straight, and that's why you know, they are what they are. So when you're getting up in, you hear people say the point of diminishing returns. That's the same kind of a situation here. Once you start getting over the level of spending $200, $250, $300, now the jump to $500, even though the price is double, what you realize in actual tangible differences are very small, because it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of manpower or hours to make those changes be noticeable. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. You know, the car analogy, I'm into racing, so that makes sense in my head anyway. Like I said, you know, you can take a stock car and or a factory car, and with very little investment improve it greatly. But if you take what already is a race car and try to make that race car faster, now you're talking a large investment, and that's what you have going on here. So hopefully that puts it into context, or into words that people can understand. I'm not telling everybody to run out and buy a CRK knife. That's not what I'm telling you. what I'm telling you is, if you're in the market for a $500 knife, this would be the place that I would go looking. There are many companies out there that charge $500 for knives that, in my opinion, are not worth $500. So I'm not turning this into a bash fest or anything like that, so I'm not going to sit here and name names and whatnot. I'm just saying, if you're in the market for a $500 knife, Chris Reeve Knives is a place that I would go looking. They actually do the extensive work that command that kind of money. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you enjoyed the new pieces that we unboxed here today. And we will catch you next time. I'm out.